Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Russell Wortham Show, your all encompassing show. And this is the flagship show, folks. We are back in the middle of greatness, coming to you from beautiful Tucson, Arizona, stone's throw away from the University of Arizona, and in the shadow of the Grand Canyon. So, all right, bit of housekeeping before we begin this thing. I've decided to essentially consolidate my three shows into one show. So you're essentially getting news, weather, and sports. But in this case, it's news, WWE, and sports. So all of that, one show. So let's not waste any more time. So, in the realm of news, boy, what a difference a week makes. Of course, you have the Democrats that are now going into power on the House of Representatives side in Congress, and the uh, Republicans are doing the same on the Senate side. So let's just break this down. So with the Democrats coming in on the House side, you have a lot of tension right now concerning who is going to be the next Speaker of the House. Of course, a lot of people are saying it's just clear cut. This is going to be Nancy Pelosi. But at least 17 representatives are saying we won't back her for various reasons. The main reason that I've seen so far, though, is the age gap and this idea of we need fresh blood, we need fresh ideas in Washington. And while I completely support that, here's the question that a lot of journalists have had to all these Democrats coming into the House, and which is, so if it's not Nancy Pelosi, who's it going to be? And the answer is, I don't know. Like, oh boy. Look, as a staunch Democrat myself, I can tell you right now, I don't know, is going to get Donald Trump reelected in 2 years' time. That is not what this country, frankly, needs. So, I know you've got till January, but if these House Democrats can't get their acts together, and if they can't get this idea of, if they can't get their, if they can't, excuse me, if they can't get their acts together, they're gonna they're gonna lose, and it's gonna get ugly. So, who are some of the other notable people that are running or could be running against Nancy Pelosi? Well, apparently this Fudge lady, and I apologize. I mean no disrespect. I don't know her name or her first name right off the top of my head, but she's been a candidate. But the problem with her, it's the same as Nancy Pelosi. It's the age gap. So the only other person, if you want fresh, new voices and all of that, you're not going to get any more fresher than Alexandra Ocasio Cortez. You're just not. She's 29 for Pete's sake, and I don't know about you, but I look at her and I think she can really re energize the Democratic Party. But again, she's 29. This is her first time running ever. And if you read and if you believe all the reports, she's already picked fights with Nancy Pelosi behind closed doors and various other people. Uh, in terms of committees on renewable energy, the whole bit. So maybe you don't go that direction. So now you move into the Senate side of things with Republicans still in power, and I gotta say, this is really getting kind of scary because the next person that looks like, if you believe the reports, that are going to be in charge of the Senate Judiciary Committee is none other than Lindsey Graham. Ugh. I mean, just his performance alone with Brett Kavanaugh tells you he isn't fit to be in this role. He was yelling at his colleagues, he was pointing fingers, and he just seemed like an angry older white guy. And that would be a disaster. So while there will be more oversight, more accountability within the House, the Senate side, you're not going to have that. It's not so much. And that's what's kind of scary to me. So to me, I think that if you want accountability, well, I mean, the elections are over, but we needed to really come out and really flip both houses. But again, balance of power, I get it. No one party should have all the power, so I get it. All right. Now, within the White House, there is a storm of brewing between Donald Trump and virtually everybody. Now, this is not my quote. This is a staffer's quote. So, pardon my language, but they said that the president is pissed off at damn near everybody. Oh boy. So, this is nothing new. Donald Trump is combative. He likes that competition, he likes that combativeness. But I'm thinking, Donald, they're all there to help you. They're helping you to be successful, and you're going after people. It's mind blowing to me. It's absolutely mind blowing. So, who's on the hot seat this week? Well, Kristen Nielsen. But again, there was this idea of she helped to implement the border separation policy. So, I don't understand why she's being thrown under the bus. Jeff Sessions, who is the now former Attorney General of the United States, he basically came up with this crazy idea to separate families at the border. But the one problem that he had, that Jeff Sessions had, was that he didn't recuse himself with Russia. I'm thinking to myself, ugh, okay, so you're going to fire a guy essentially for doing one thing, exactly one thing that you don't like. Okay, so much for loyalty. Oh, this is precious. Just today, according to the New York Times, Mike Pence, the vice president, the one person that is loyal in this whole crazy bit, he's going out his way now, meaning Donald Trump, to ask if Mike Pence is loyal. Donald Trump, I'm begging you, okay? The whole country is begging you to borrow a phrase, stay in your lane. Look, you can pick whoever the heck you want. But let's just look at the bones, if you will. Rex Tillerson. You said he was a great guy, great businessman, He's going to make a tremendous Secretary of State, and he is essentially out. Jeff Sessions, again, another person you said, great guy, loyal guy, he's done everything great, but he recused himself. He's gone. Kristen Nielsen, well, she did what you asked. She did the border separations, but apparently you questioned how effective she was. She's pretty much out the door. And so, to me, loyalty does not mean what it should to Donald Trump. It just doesn't. This guy operates on a different atmosphere, it seems like. Now, when it comes to this situation of making up, I guess, for the slight of not visiting the American cemetery in France commemorating the end of World War One, Donald Trump yesterday went to the Marine barracks. And he was shaking hands and he was talking to various troops. But to my knowledge, he just went in, he shook a few hands, he turned right around and he left. I'm thinking to myself, so you disrespected the veterans by not visiting the graves of their fallen comrades. You have completely disrespected the military now by just coming in, shaking a few hands, and then leaving. I understand you're the president. I understand you have a busy schedule. But Donald Trump, when he says that he respects the military, respects our veterans, he's lying. He's lying through his teeth. He just is. He's just lying through his teeth. So, all that yuckiness aside, there's actually some good news coming out of the White House today, and that is that Jim Acosta is now reinstated, at least for now, on a temporary basis, to report within the White House, from the White House. And I think, yes, First Amendment right means First Amendment right. You can have free speech, you can ask questions you need to ask. Sarah Sanders today said, well, we're going to just pretty much keep Jim Acosta on a short leash, and there's got to be decorum. What does that even mean? You need decorum? Look, I've been watching press conferences my whole life. I know how chaotic they are. People are raising their hands and screaming and, come on, pick on me. Need to ask a question. But here's a crazy idea, Sarah Sanders. If you want to have these people go out of their way to have some decorum, you need to set down some ground rules, and you need to say, everybody needs to calmly raise your hand one at a time. I will get to you when I get to you. If I can't get to you, if you want to ask me a question, you can ask me in private. If you want to ask the president a question, I'd be more than happy to schedule an appointment with him. But just this idea, just this absurd notion that now the media, it's all the media's fault for not having decorum. That just blows me away. It makes me feel like it's always going to be the media's fault. It's always going to be the media's fault. It doesn't matter if it's not their fault. It is their fault. And that just absolutely is mind blowing to me. All right, so that is the news slash opinion portion of the show. I am so thankful for the people that are fighting the fires over in California. It's really scary that 600 people are missing, that I believe it's now 50 people that have been confirmed dead. It is really scary. So hang strong, hang in there, California. Uh, I hate to say thoughts and prayers, but uh, at this point, that's all I can say is thoughts and prayers. I really do wish you all the very best of luck, and I really hope that you can get things back to some semblance of normalcy just as soon as you can. All right, so transitioning into the sports part of the show. As per usual, we're going to go over the NFL, the NBA, and I will have your top 25 in college football. So let's just get going with the NFL. You had in the AFC East, New England still hanging in there, 7-3. They have a two-game lead over the Miami Dolphins. Uh, the Dolphins are 5-5. Buffalo is 3-7, and this is a Jekyll and Hyde team. I swear to you, the Bills actually looked really decent this week with Matt Barkley. I mean, Matt Barkley, I didn't even think was even in the league anymore, and he came in and he was making some really just insane passes this past week against the Jets. Gotta tell you that this is just a team that I was watching the game yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, which Buffalo team are we going to get on week to week basis? Are we going to get the team that can just run up the score on you at a moment's notice? Or are we going to get a team that's just going to be sluggish and just get totally wiped out? The answer is I don't know. But hopefully, hopefully, with Matt Barkley in, you're going to have an established quarterback. You're going to have a normal surrounding, and you can try to move forward here. Nate Peterman, this guy was just really, really not cut out, at least for Buffalo. Look, I'm sure that somebody will try to take a chance on Nate Peterman, but if he's essentially a two and done quarterback, 2 year and done quarterback, it's really sad. But this guy was throwing interceptions like there was just no tomorrow. And it just seemed like Nate Peterman was kind of spooked when it came to running that offense up in Buffalo. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so that is the AFC East. Going up north, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers still holding strong, 6-2-1 now. Cincinnati 5-4. Baltimore Ravens 4-5, and the Cleveland Browns 3-6-1. And yeah, all right. So down south in the AFC, you've got the Houston Texans 6-3, absolutely doing amazing. Tennessee Titans, they just beat up on New England, and so they are now 5-4, one game behind. It's pretty amazing what the Titans have done. The Colts are at 4-5, and they're another team that, on paper, the Indianapolis Colts should not be having these problems, but they are. So it's kind of like, which team are we going to get on a week-to-week basis here? And Jacksonville, I unless they run the table, I don't think they're going back to the playoffs this year. And was Blake Bortles' year last year a bit of a fluke? I don't know, but we'll see. And then finally in the AFC, you've got the AFC West. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs at 9-1. You've got the Los Angeles Chargers at 7-2. Denver Broncos 3-6, and finally the Oakland Raiders at 1-8. All right, switching conferences to the NFC. Out east, you've got the Washington Redskins at 6-3. Again, absolutely amazing what they've done this year. It is just absolutely mind-blowing what they've done. The Dallas Cowboys, they are 4-5. The Philadelphia Eagles, again, they are one of those teams that I don't know which Eagles team is going to show up. Now, I understand that they're working without Jay Ajayi carrying the ball, and I understand that Carson Wentz is back after missing pretty much all of last year, or most of last year, I should say, but they're still the defending Super Bowl champions, and it just feels like they're just absolutely just, I don't know, it just feels like they're just not getting any traction. And yes, they're only 4-5, but they are one of those teams that they've got to run the table, I think. They have one more loss. I don't know if they'll even sneak into the playoffs. So they're on a razor thin edge. They have to, I think, run the table. And then finally, the New York Giants 2-7. Eli Manning's done. Okay, I understand that he won this past week against the San Francisco 49ers in a game that was better than it had any right to be. It was back and forth, and he really played well, did Eli Manning. But again, 2-7, and Odell Beckham Jr. had to be coaxed back into New York of like, come on, we're not going to be that bad of a team. And I'm like, yeah, well, I think you might be. But anyways, up in the NFC North division, the Chicago Bears 6-3. They're doing really well. Mitch Trubisky, oh my gosh, he is doing absolutely amazing. I mean, he's running well. He throws passes that I'm in awe of. I really thought that he can really make a big contribution to his team. So I'm absolutely surprised by the Bears. Then you've got the Minnesota Vikings. They're hanging strong at 5-3-1. They're kind of the sleeper team. Okay, I know they went to the NFC Championship game last year on magical ride, but I tell you what, don't sleep on Minnesota. They really, I think, can make some inroads into the playoffs. You got the Green Bay Packers 4-5-1. Aaron Rodgers, again, some weeks he's great, some weeks he's just not. So we'll see what happens with that. And finally, up north, you got the Detroit Lions at 3-6. All right, down in the dirty South, as it were, New Orleans, they're just steamrolling people. They're 8-1. They're another team that nobody's really talking about, but quietly, quietly, Drew Brees, I think, is putting this MVP on lock. I just, I just really do think that he's got it on lock this year. Carolina, they're 6-3. They're another quiet team. Atlanta, they're 4-5, and Tampa Bay 3-6. And finally, you've got the Los Angeles Rams 9-1. You've got the Seattle Seahawks at 5-5, Arizona at 2-7, and the 49ers, who I think are setting up for the future with their brand new quarterback, but they're 2-8, so we'll see what happens with that. All right, moving on into the realm of the NBA. Now, if you've been watching this show, you know that I give you essentially just the top four seeds in each conference as they are right now, if the playoffs were to start right now. So let's start off over in the East. And your number one seed, if the playoffs were to start right today, the Toronto Raptors, they are 12-3. Milwaukee, surprise team of the year so far. Out east, they are your number two seed at 10-4. Indiana is your number three seed at 8-6, and rounding out the top four, Boston also at 8-6. Cleveland Cavaliers, they haven't exactly gotten off the mat. They are 2-12. So yeah, LeBron James, you lose him, you lose Kyrie Irving, and you're just kind of a mediocre team. So that's kind of ugh. All right, moving out west, where we are, you've got your number one seed. No surprises here. Golden State holding strong at 12-4. Your number two seed. Portland at 10-4. Number three, still hanging in there, Denver 10-5, and your number four seed is the LA Clippers at 9-5. LeBron James is quietly moving up the ranks. If the season were to end right now, they'd actually be the number seven seed. They're 8-6, so they're starting to find their sea legs here. Are LeBron and the Lakers. So absolutely amazing with that. All right, and finally, with the sports part of the show, we are going to the college football top 25, the AP top 25. So let's see. Right now, you've got Mississippi State at 25. Northwestern is at 24. Boise State snuck back in. Big, huge win against Fresno State. They're playing against New Mexico tonight. They're at 23. Boston College, respectable 7-3 season. They're at 22. Utah, also 7-3. They're at 21. Kentucky, they have been kind of fluctuating, but they are still hanging in there. They're also 7-3. They're having a heck of a season. Cincinnati 19. You've got Iowa State at 18. Washington 17. Penn State 16. Florida, another good team that now a lot of people are talking about. They're 7-3 as well. They're 15. Utah State, the world beaters right now in terms of the Mountain West Conference, they're 9-1. Okay, so they're gearing up for that big showdown with Boise State next week. You've got Texas at 13, Syracuse at 12, UCF, the group of five winner right now, is at 11. LSU hanging strong at number 10, Ohio State, still in the top 10, but they're at 9. You've got Washington State at 8, West Virginia at 7, Oklahoma at 6, and then the top 5 pretty much stayed the same. Georgia at 5, Michigan at 4, Notre Dame at 3, Clemson at number 2, and your number 1 team in the entire nation right now, no surprise, the Alabama Crimson Tide. I tell you what, they are just steamrolling. So that is your sports section for the week. All right, now on to WWE this weekend. Tomorrow night, Sunday night are going to be just lit. It's going to be insane. You have NXT TakeOver War Games 2 from, I believe it's Los Angeles, and is absolutely just going to be amazing. You've got Tommaso Ciampa, the champion, versus Velveteen Dream, and I gotta tell you, Velveteen Dream, he is the unsung hero of NXT. He's the guy that just absolutely has crushed it. Every match, if you've watched his matches, I mean, he's essentially the Seth Rollins of NXT. He's that good. He is the best wrestler, I believe, in NXT. He just is. His technical skills, his high flying skills, his selling, his offense, his defense. I mean, it's just absolutely extraordinary. Guys like not even 25, 26. Yeah, this guy's got a really good future. So we'll see what happens with that. Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. It was recently revealed that it was Johnny Gargano that attacked Aleister Black. And so there's been that feud boiling for a while now. Safe to say that Johnny Gargano is trending towards heel. So we'll see what happens with that. Now on to the War Games match, and this is just, if you aren't excited for this match, oh my gosh. Oh boy. It's the Undisputed Era. It's Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong versus, and Bobby Fish, sorry, versus Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders. I mean, oh my gosh. Now, if you haven't seen War Games, if you don't know what War Games is, essentially you have two people start in the ring. And then every, I believe it's 5 minutes, you have another person, there's a coin toss, and a member of that other team comes in. And they alternate back and forth until everybody gets in, and then it's basically one fall or submission to a finish. It's crazy what they can do inside the double-sided ring. And so I really am excited for this match. Oh my gosh, the firepower, if you will, in this match alone, just crazy. And then finally, you got Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane. 2 out of 3 falls for the NXT Women's Championship. I'm excited for this match, but I will say this very simple caveat, and that is, how weak is this women's division in NXT? I mean, the fact that you have Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane again, makes me think, is there anybody left in this division? Why aren't you bringing more women up? Nikki Cross came in up to SmackDown recently, and so essentially you don't have people. But who knows? All right, finally is Survivor Series on Sunday. This is going to be awesome. Oh my gosh, 8 matches. It's crazy. Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. Now, it was supposed to be champion versus champion. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch. But Becky Lynch sustained a concussion by an errant forearm by uh, uh, Nia Jax this past Monday on Raw when SmackDown invaded Raw. Uh, Broke her nose. They said broken face, but that could mean anything. She had a pretty good shiner, did Becky Lynch. So yeah, you almost. I mean, well, you did need to have a replacement. This was supposed to be the WrestleMania match, but actually, this really makes a lot of sense because if it was going to be Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, this would have been a no-win situation. If Becky won, then Ronda obviously wouldn't be undefeated going into next year's WrestleMania. If Becky lost, could she get her heat back? And the answer is I don't know. But Charlotte Flair, she can absorb a loss. Not saying she will lose. That's not a prediction. I don't do predictions. But to me, I'm like, okay, this could really work. Next up, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. This is going to steal the freaking show. This right here is going to steal the freaking show. I mean, Seth Rollins is the best wrestler in the main roster, I believe. Period. End of discussion. End of story. And Shinsuke Nakamura, I mean, he's not done much the last few months since WrestleMania. But I think if you want to reemphasize how dangerous Shinsuke Nakamura is, you have him win, and you have him win in a bruising fashion. Next up, you've got Team Raw. So Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley with Baron Corbin and Leo Rush versus Team SmackDown, The Miz, Shane McMahon, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. This is going to be just a knockdown, drag-out fight. Earlier today, I watched a Survivor Series from 1988. And just the level of talent on this match is absolutely amazing. It seems like both teams are a little disjointed, but hey, that's what happens when you just throw together, a 5-on-5 matchup. But should be really good. Now on the women's side, you've got Team Raw. So you've got Mickie James, Natty Neidhart, Nia Jax, Tamina, and Ruby Riott with Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan versus Team SmackDown with Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, Sonya Deville, and a person that's going to be put in at a later date, which should be, if not today, may not be tomorrow. It might be just like a surprise. So it might be a call up from NXT. So I'm assuming whoever loses between the Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler will go in as that fifth member. So I mean, this is a bit of a pick 'em too. The the problem I have with this one is Alexa Bliss. She was concussed by Ronda Rousey. Now, I'm not suggesting Ronda Rousey is dangerous. I'm saying she got concussed. Alexa Bliss got concussed. So, I mean, this is another match. It's kind of like, well, you miss Evolution. Well, Alexa Bliss, just this year, okay? She missed the Women's Royal Rumble. Why? Well, she was the champion at the time. So you can't fault her for that. But then you go to Evolution back last month, and she misses that because of her concussion. Now, essentially, what, a month later, she's still dealing with concussion like symptoms. I'm thinking to myself, huh, oh, okay. So, I hope Alexa Bliss makes it, but we'll see. We'll see. Next up, you've got AOP, the Raw Tag Team Champions, versus The Bar, with Sheamus and Cesaro, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, with Big Show. It's going to be just a knockdown, drag out fight. I don't know, again, I don't know who's going to win, but I really like this. I really like this. This is two of the absolute best tag teams right now in WWE. I like this. This is going to be really awesome. Next up, huge. Oh my gosh. This is a 10-person, 5-on-5 tag team match. You've got Team Raw of Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, the B Team, the Revival, Lucha House Party, and the Ascension versus Team SmackDown of the Usos, the New Day, Sanity, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and the Colognes. Look, just in terms of cohesiveness, star power, all that, it's, again, I don't try not to make predictions, but you'd have to think SmackDown. You'd have to think SmackDown. And then finally, you've got the best kept secret in all of WWE, Buddy Murphy, against Mustafa Ali for the Cruiserweight Championship. This is going to be an awesome match. This is going to be high powered, high octane. It's going to get the crowd going. So I'm assuming that match, the Cruiserweight match, is going to go on first. So that is the show for this week. I really appreciate you all being here. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate your comments and all that. So if you have any comments, please put them down below, as they say. You can reach me at Rusty Wortham on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. So with all that said, I will see you guys next week. We will, of course, go through the week that was in both news, sports, WWE. We'll recap what happened with Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver War Games 2. So all that said, again, thank you very much. And as always, just like the Beatles sang all those many years ago, love is all you need. I will see you guys later.